Okay, hello, San Diego Comic Con. This is the panel bringing that black magic, brought to you by Random House Children's Books. My name is Jessica Lewis, author of the forthcoming Bad Witch Burning, available August 24th, 2021. Bad Witch Burning is about a girl who raises the dead for money and the difficult choices she makes due to poverty, and also her unruly resurrections. I also write cute middle grades under the pen name Jazz Taylor. And I'm very pleased to introduce all of our panelists. First, we have Namina Forna. She is a young adult novelist based in Los Angeles and the New York Times and indie best-selling author of the epic fantasy YA novel, The Gilded Ones. Originally from Sierra Leone, West Africa, she moved to the US when she was 9 and has been traveling back and forth ever since. Namina loves building fantastical worlds and telling stories with fierce female leads. We also have Dhonielle Clayton. She is the New York Times bestselling author of the Belle series and the co-author of the Tiny Pretty Things duology, which is now a Netflix original series. She hails from Washington, D.C., suburbs on the Maryland side. She taught secondary school for several years and is a former elementary and middle school librarian. She is the COO of the nonprofit We Need Diverse Books. She runs the science fiction and fantasy book club, Black Girls with Magic and Books. She is an avid traveler and always on the hunt for magic and mischief. Next up, Shattered Midnight, The Marvelers, Blackout, and The Rumor Game. And finally, we have Natasha Bowen. She is a writer, a teacher, and a mother of 3 children. She is of Nigerian and Welsh descent and lives in Cambridge, England, where she grew up. Natasha studied English and creative writing at Bath Spa University before moving to East London, where she taught for nearly 10 years. Her debut book, Skin of the Sea, was inspired by her passion for mermaids and African history. She is obsessed with Japanese and German stationery and spends stupid amounts on notebooks, which she then features on her secret Instagram. When she's not writing, she's reading, watched over carefully by Milk and Honey, her cat and dog. Okay, let's get started, everyone.
Yay.
How is everyone doing?
Good. Just trying to get through deadlines and a pandemic still.
Yeah, same.
Absolutely.
Although I hope that we're sort of slowly working our way out. It feels like it in LA.
Feels like it in New York City.
Yeah, well, in England, I can't really say the same, but
no,
it's different in Europe. But yeah, it feels like it's coming slowly back to normality, or a little bit of normality. So
good. Yeah, it's feeling like that here too. A little slower. I live in Alabama, so we have a slower rollout, but it's getting better. Okay, so let's talk about Black Girl Magic. First, what does Black Girl Magic mean to you? And anyone can start, just feel free to jump in.
I'm just going to say that for me, Black Girl Magic just means like living your authentic self, sprinkling a little bit of magic wherever you go, being able to be joyful and happy, and also being able to be present and being able to, bring joy to the world. It's Black Girl Magic.
I think it means love. I think it means love of Black women, love of magic and mischief and speculative and just the things that make us us. It's that love. That's what I love when I read other Black women's work. And especially when it's speculative, I'm like, oh, that's what I'm looking for. It's not tangible. It's this great love that we have for each other and for sort of this sisterhood.
yeah, I think it can be opposites as well. So you have that strength, but also that softness of being able to be both, as well as the perseverance and, the confidence to be yourself and to do what inspires you.
Yeah, I totally agree. I also think it's a celebration just of everything that we've done and accomplished so far.
Completely.
So excited. So how does Black Girl Magic affect your writing process? Is this something that informs your work from the very beginning when you first get an idea, or do you layer it into your books at different stages?
Well, I only want to write about Black girls, so, and magical settings. I also write contemporary, but that's always been my thing. I never got enough books growing up that featured Black girls with literal magic or in fantastical magical settings, saving the world, in secondary worlds, Black mermaids, Black vampires. Like I never got that. So as far as I'm concerned, it's all I want to write because I don't think there can be enough books that feature Black girls with magic. So from the onset, I come straight to the page thinking, what kind of magical Black girl am I writing for this book? And then also, how am I going to, what is the new sort of magic that I'm going to explore?
Oh, I completely agree.
Yeah.
I don't think I can add anything to that. I just agree.
I think it's just, I think I have that from the start. I think, like Dhonielle said, it's a focus from the very beginning. So anything you create around that plot, characters has to embody that sense of Black girl magic for it to be the story that I would want to read and tell. So yeah, everything Dhonielle said. I would say that all the time. What she said.
No.
I'll take it back on you, Dhonielle.
Look, and all the hurdles that we
That's what I said.
Oh no, all the hurdles that we have to deal with. First of all, to even, I feel like, to know that our stories are valid, to enter the publishing industry, we have to come in sort of being like, oh yes, I've got to write this intentionally. Because if I don't, all of the publishing machine is going to eat me alive as my story goes through it. And if I don't stick close to sort of my original vision, I feel like we have to sort of radically dive headfirst into Black girl magic in order to get through.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. Again, we just agree with Tanya.
Now I'm not going to talk.
No. Okay, so talk to me about world building. So how does Black girl magic affect your world? So we talked a little bit about the characters, but is it different based on second world fantasy versus contemporary fantasy, or?
I'll go with this one.
You go.
I think that for me, I have always sort of been fascinated with the idea of creating books that are set in a fantastical African setting, mainly because like I'm from Sierra Leone, West Africa, born and raised. I came here when I was 9. And like for me, growing up in Sierra Leone, it was a very magical place. Of course, it had like its problems, but like it was a very magical place. And also like my dad always used to tell me all these stories about ancient African civilizations. And I always thought he was like just making up stuff, but turns out they were true. So like when I started writing and thinking of worlds, I was like, I want to set them in these places that I know to be true and that I know we're there. And I want to build a vision of a grand and a magical Africa, because that's not stuff that we see. Like every time, like now, thankfully, things are changing. Before, every time we saw stuff about Africa, it was like, oh, the heart of darkness, which, what does that mean? The dark continent, what does that mean? So for me, like I've always been fascinated by using those settings and also using people found in those settings. Like for instance, my book, The Gilded Ones, the Alaki, who are the magical girls in my book, are based off the Amazons of Dahomey, who were real, actual magical Black girls. Well, they were very violent Black girls. It was great. So yeah.
I think that it's, for me, it was, I mean, I love making things up, but to set it in 16th century West Africa, it was really important to me, just because what Namina said as well, there's a representation, I find, of the continent of Africa as being quite primitive. So to have in Skin of the Sea, knowledge of infinity and fractals in mathematics and how cities are laid out architecturally, and mix that in with the kind of myths and legends and the religious beliefs at the time, again, which can be demonized, I think is really important to show and set stories in a place and represent it accurately for once, rather than the heart of darkness, or, you know, only being war zones and starving people. And that's not what it was. It's not what it is now either, completely. It definitely isn't what it was then. So for me, it's really important to write the story and to ground it in actual kingdoms with actual knowledge of the times, just so that you can share that and sort of revel in the amount of knowledge and power that was there in Africa and West Africa before Europeans came. So
I hate that word primitive. Like every time I hear it, it down my spine.
Mm-hmm. So to have a story that kind of, that highlights of how advanced Africa was in comparison to Europe, that was important to me.
I feel like you're both doing something really special in your work, where you're having to create counter narrative, and you're having to bring things to the forefront that are based on real life historical things and put them within fantasy trappings to say, hey, we always use medieval European iconography as the standard bearer for fantasy. It is what, when we think of it, it's what fills in automatically in everyone's brain, because that's the way the industry has been created. And I feel like both of you have had to create these counter narratives in your world building to say, actually, there was a whole lot going on outside of what we think when we think of these time periods, when we also think of what is fantasy. Both of you have done really great, interesting world building work to go against that. When I was growing up, the only images of Africa I had were the National Geographic magazines that came into my school, into my house, right? And so as Black Americans, I know, Jessica, you're in Alabama, my family's from Mississippi. Literally, that was part of the eradication of sort of, you know what I mean, our Africanness. It's like, no, you don't want to be like them. You want to be like us over here. You want to be more like Europeans. And so that world building, those kinds of influences really affect the way that I create my worlds and the way that I think about power and think about place and setting. And so, you know, it's something that I'm always grappling with as a content creator. My brain automatically fills in fantasy means Europe, right? And I have to like actively work against and go and run in the other direction and realize that it can mean other things. So now fantasy is starting to mean, for me, Black American, home, Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, like where my family is from, and all of that, which is African diaspora, right? Like it's literally just that. But it took a long time. It took a long time for me to get there because of what happens to us here in the country.
And I think there's still that belief. Even the other day, there was a tweet where someone had said to me, "Oh, that's funny. I thought mermaids were white," and I'm thinking, but what? There's a whole other thing to unpick there, but also that's all we really see. That's all we're really presented with. So yeah, we don't really see other stories. So yeah, you're right. It focuses on European ones, and I think it's important to unpick that and to tell different stories.
I mean, there's so many different types of mermaids.
Right. Like, it's like, where you been living, sir?
There's a mermaid for every different culture.
Yeah.
Exactly. I know.
It won.
You should tag me.
Lives. Right. Tag Namina in. She'd be
like Japan, Ningyo, like Senegal, like, and just keep going down the list.
That person will get an education and be like, let me
tell you about this different type of mermaid.
I thought mermaids were white. Out of here. First of all, that's an unhelpful comment. Number one.
Secondly, they're like,
you saw my cover, you saw her cover, and you saw Tasha's beautiful cover, and you came to say that. That's all you had to say. You should have said that is a beautiful mermaid, and you would have thank you.
But then that was a small thing when you think of Halle Bailey that's been cast as Ariel in Disney's Little, and the whole furore around that and the ridiculous. I mean, I had to tap out after a while because the fantasy, it's made up, and it's based on things, but comments like you're at the bottom of the sea, so how would that's why they're white, or mind is just blown. Whew. Yeah.
It's very, very frustrating.
People will try to unscience science when it's not science. That doesn't even make any sense what I just said, but y'all understand where I'm going.
We know what you mean.
Yeah,
Totally do. Sorry, we derailed, Jessica.
yeah. This is what happens.
No, you're good. This is a good conversation because I agree. Very unhelpful comment, but we won't dwell on that. It's okay. So that transitions into characters. So we're often talking about literal magic, like we just were with the different worlds. But how does Black girl magic translate to your Black characters themselves? How are they magical without the actual magic?
I think it's trying to create or characters that can show every part of their personality, that can show their strength and their ingenuity, but can also be broken and ask for help and receive help and then overcome, or sometimes not overcome, those issues within a story, because it's not always a straightforward path. So for me, it's trying to create a character or characters that are more lifelike. Even though it's fantasy, you would see your friend as that character because of maybe, you know, one of their insecurities or something a mistake that they made in the way that they react. So yeah, I think it's showing that strength, but also allowing them to be human, even though they're not real, even though they're real in my head, but you know what I mean.
I completely agree. You know, growing up, like, I don't think any of us saw ourselves in books. And if we did, we were like side characters that only had like one facet of ourselves. And I think, like, if I'm speaking about my book, The Gilded Ones in particular, and my main character, Deka, I think that what makes her so magical, outside of the fact that she's super strong and super fast, bleeds gold, and all this stuff, is that she's an authentic human being who, and this to me is the bravest thing, is going through things, and we go on this journey with her of healing. You know, she's someone who's been through a lot, and she's learning to tap into her emotions to process her trauma, and also, to me, most importantly, to harness her anger. That for me was one of the most exciting parts about the Gilded Ones, because so often as Black women, and I don't want to speak for you guys, but for me, ever since I came to America, one of the things that I've learned is to always be calm so that I'm never considered the angry Black woman. Because the minute I show any type of emotion, any type of like sadness, whatever, like, it is automatically viewed by other people through the lens of anger. I'm the angry Black woman. And so that's why for me, Deka was so revolutionary, because she taps into her anger and embraces it. And this is something that I'm trying to do as well, to be like, I can be angry, I can be this, I can be that, without fearing the stereotypes that other people are going to place upon me that actually have no bearing on who and what I am.
And I think it's important to see characters that are showing their anger as well, and not, you know, not having to be quiet or squash it down. Yeah, they can express themselves, whether it's anger, whether it's love, whether it's sadness. That's all important.
I also think showing Black girls as survivors, and I feel like, Jessica, your book does this really well too. The world is against us globally, and showing that we can find joy, we can find love, we can find magic, we do save the world. And just a reminder to our Black readers that they are that and all of those things. And to our non-Black readers, that like, these people that are in your neighborhood, that are in your school, that are around you, that are globally, have had to deal with things that you will know nothing about, but that it's very interesting and important for you to understand those differences, and that is magic.
But no, I totally agree with you. Just like, I just think it's so important for Black girls to see themselves, every part of themselves, And, you know, I think that we're all working together to create a new, like, a new library for people to just go in and be like, okay, finally I can see myself in this work. And it's for teens, but it's also for us, because when I was growing up, I didn't see myself in books at all. In fact, the first book that I wrote when I was 16, I had a white character because I thought all YA characters were white. I didn't know. And, you know, I think that that's why I think that our work is so important. Everything that everyone on this panel is doing is just so important for the people who come after us.
And if we were to write hundreds and hundreds of books, each one of us, it would still not be enough. It would not be enough because systematically for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, we have been blocked from publishing our own stories and from publishing stories that feature characters that look like ours. So it is going to take a long time. That's why I'm like, everybody come on in, come, let me help you, get in here. We need you, because the next generation of readers needs to know that they can write about themselves, that there's value in that, that there are readers waiting for their stories.
Completely. I see I've taught so many children, and a lesson will be, you know, it'll be on characterization, or we're gonna draw our character and we're gonna give them a name and different characteristics. And usually, and the school that I taught was mainly Black, African, and South Asian. All the characters were white, and all of the names as well were. That's all because of the books that they've been exposed to, both at home, but also definitely at school. And they can only sort of, and when I said, well, you know, why don't we use this name instead? And they were like, can we? Is that they didn't like, not, it was like they were waiting for permission to be able to use different names and different characters. So yeah, it's massively important.
Mm-hmm. Does anyone else want to say anything before we move on to the next question?
I think Tasha dropped the mic. It's perfect.
Yeah. Okay, so the next one. Black girl magic has become a celebration of Black girls and their accomplishments, but in some cases it can be used as a weapon. Black women have historically been seen as superhuman sometimes, and some can argue this Black girl magic can uphold the strong Black woman trope in less than careful hands. So how does your work push against the weaponization of Black girl magic?
Ooh, I'll go first.
Okay, Namina.
My book is about a girl who is super powered. But what is super power to me about her is that she is incredibly vulnerable. You know, like what I like examine in the book is what happens when you weaponize someone's like strength against them, which I think is literally what happens with Black women. You know, we are told that we're strong, that we carry everything on our backs, this and that or whatever, and that's supposed to be laudable, but really we're being crushed under the weight of it. And so that's one of the things that I talk about in my book, where we have Deka, a character who is so incredibly superhumanly strong, but is being crushed under the weight of not only expectations, but just what happens when you're found to be the type of well, not creature, but being that she is, you know? So like, that's why it's very important for me to always create vulnerable, vulnerable female protagonists, because I always sort of bump up against that. Oh, you're a strong Black woman. I mean, no, I'm not. I am soft. I cry. I feel, you know, like I can't hold my burden and your burden as well, you know, like, so yes, I am strong, but like I always sort of rankle at that exact phrasing, because I feel like it carries all these expectations of, because you're all this, we can put so much weight on you. And that's why I have my characters who are always at the core vulnerable, and who show that, you know, they're not just here to take everybody else's burden for themselves.
This is a hard question. And I keep thinking about the woman who coined the phrase Black girls are magic, or Black girl magic, Kashawn Thompson. And when Kashawn was talking about why she coined this phrase, this term, because she was thinking about sort of the women in her family, and they were doing incredible things, and how that felt magical. And it was supposed to be about love and community building for Black women online, especially. I feel like this term also, that's what it's for. It's for us to love on each other. It's for us to celebrate each other, to tell each other that we're beautiful, because the world tries to tell us counter narratives that we aren't. It's supposed to bring us together, but yes, we have, it's the phrase, the mule of the world, right? We've felt that way, we have been that. And I think it's important for us as writers to think about our characters and to show that vulnerability. I love that Namina talks about not being always strong. And I think the more that we can live openly, especially so teens can see, like, I fall apart all the time. I don't have my life together. I forget where things are. I'm stressed out. I melt down, all of those things, that I'm not always strong. And that we contain multitudes. I think that's what's most important, because you're right. It is a poison pill to swallow, to believe that we're supposed to carry everyone and that we're supposed to always be strong. That means that we're not going to make it if we do that, because we'll never have time to take a breath, and we'll carry the weight of the world, and we can't. We need someone to carry us too. And that's what I feel like our community is for. We carry each other.
Definitely agree. I think it's creating characters that have those different facets of their personality, but is shown in the story. So you might have a main character who is strong, but they're always going to have elements of, things that they find really difficult, or people that they ask for help. Because I think that's something that I have definitely struggled with, in terms of people thinking that you're so strong and you never ask for help, and you don't, and so that means you don't need it, you're fine. And I think it's important it's definitely important for readers and teens to see that, it's normal. And if we normalize the fact that we're not perfect and we're not strong all the time, yeah, we are sometimes, or some people are stronger more than others, and that's okay as well. So when you have characters that show all of that, I think it properly creates a story that embodies that Black girl magic, and readers can get that sense of, it's not just one thing. Like Dhonielle said, it's not just the weight of the world on your shoulders, and having to be this certain way and never being able to break down or to change who you are, because sometimes we're just stuck on being this, and we must be this, and we must do X, Y, Z to succeed, and if you don't, then so I think it's really important to show the whole round aspects of Black girls, because everyone is so multifaceted that if you don't, it's just creating that stereotype, and that can be damaging.
And that's why I love all of our books, because they each focus on, they all have different Black girls. Each one of the main characters has a different set of skills and bruises. And I think the more variety we can do and give our readers, the better off this next generation of Black girls that are emerging readers will be, because they're able to find, oh, I'm like that. That's me. I'm the one that wants to rush into battle, or no, I'm the one that can't handle, like I fall apart, right? All of those are valid, which is exciting to have all of these books coming.
Jessica, that's one of the reasons why I love your book, Bad Witch Burning, because like she starts off like wanting to be strong, wanting to be all of these things for all these different people. And at the end, part of her becoming who she's meant to be is like learning that she can't take on everything for everyone all the time.
Yeah, she learns to save herself. You got to
Yeah.
save yourself first before you can save everyone else. But that leads into the next question, which is, who is your favorite character that exemplifies Black girl magic? And it can be your own character, so feel free.
Oh, this is hard. I have a lot of characters that I love that I have not written.
This is an evil question.
I know it's a
really evil question, and I'm tempted to just like do like the whatever thing. Actually, I am going to choose a character from my own book, because this is both this is sort of a cop out because like I can't choose between all you guys' books. And I feel like if I choose one, like it's just gonna be a war. So I'm gonna step out and just choose somebody from my own book. I am going to choose the mentor character in my book, White Hands, because
Okay.
this woman is very calculated, literally runs games around other people, a bit of a lush, very mysterious. She's basically like your fabulous, a little bit very cool, a little bit wicked auntie that you never know what she's up to, but you know she's got a ton of money and that she's got a ton of irons on the fire and that she's doing big things, but you don't know what. So I love her because White Hands at the end of the day will always like live her best life. And that to me is Black girl magic. And also because I wouldn't say she's actually a good person, strictly a good person. And I
What to
think,
say? Okay, ma'am.
and I think like why I love that is because I think we need to have the freedom to be not good people too. To be
Oh,
not good. Like we need the freedom to be complicated, to be anti-heroes, to be lushes who fabulously carry around wine all the time, which she does, and just stay drunk all the time while beating up people. Like she's great. So Black girl magic.
I love
I
that you bring up this idea of
Hmm?
the Black anti-hero or the Black villain, because I've always felt like I could never write that character because, oh my gosh, there's not enough representation. I'm going to get in so much trouble if my Black girl isn't perfect, or if she, you know what I mean, doesn't always think nice things. And I love that. It's time for us to be able to create all different kinds of characters that can live in their humanity and not always make the right decisions. I love all of the Black girls of all of the books that have come out in the last 3 or 4 years. Super excited. I mean, the Witches and Witches Steeped in Gold, like wore me out. Shannon Smart, like I can't wait to get to the UK if only to fight her on site. Like, how dare you in this book? And she knows because I've told her as soon as I get to the UK, she and I will have words, you know, like Rosie's book, A Song of Wraiths and Ruin. I love that Black girl. I like Black girls who make mistakes. We're gonna have to talk about Simi Tasha too when I get to the UK. We have some things to discuss. You know, I just love all of them. I want to collect all of them and put them in my own like Marvel universe and see what they would do. All of the Black girls.
What if we did a crossover of all of our books?
Oh my God, it would
That
be
would be insane.
it would be great. I don't think they'd all survive.
No. All kill each other.
It would be very chaotic.
I think we just have too many murdery people in our books. Simi's not murdery.
No.
Well, this is the thing. I wasn't going to pick Simi. I was going to pick Yamoja because for me, having an Orisha that left her home to follow the first enslaved just shows great sacrifice. But then, wanting to just feeling that sadness, but then and then wanting the best for them, and then creating other mermaids to help. There's a giving there that I like, but there's also the vulnerability of wanting to do her best, but knowing that she can't necessarily control everything. And I think that's sometimes what we end up trying to do because it seems the safest option to control everything. So yeah, I wasn't going to say Simi, but yeah. If I had to pick anyone, it would probably be Yinka as well, actually, just because I want to have 2 axes and yeah, chop people in half.
And chop people, I was supposed to say, start chopping people.
Like I said, a lot of murder.
I know, it's true though. If we were to like collect everyone's characters, there are a lot of murderous individuals. My Belle from the Belle series, she'll put everybody together. Everybody will look cute, but not everyone's going to survive because some of y'all.
Oh, Jessica, your character is also another murdery person.
Oh yeah. Cottrell, she is one of my favorite characters just because she's a demon and she knows it and she wants everybody to know it. She does not care. She has very little moral compass, and that's usually just her best friend saying, Can you chill, please?
Can you not? Can you not? Can you bring it down?
Let's chill. Just chill. But she is great. And like you were saying, Dhonielle, about just characters who are able to feel things. Like, even though she is like, she's the worst kind of person, but she does cry and she gets upset and she has arguments, and she's just like she's a person first before like a character. So yeah, she is pretty great, but I don't know about her in the crossover. I worry about her.
She can bring everybody back to life after, you know, Namina's and Tasha's folks start
with
killing
caveats though. There's caveats to that.
Yeah, it's not perfect.
Just regenerate.
It'd be fun.
I like the fact we've made up this word murdery.
Yeah.
I like that word now.
Murdery.
Yeah, that's a word, murdery.
Just like a little pinch of murder. It's like adding a little chili flakes. Like, it's just a little bit.
Murderish, murdery, yeah.
Yeah, I love it. It's just exciting that there are so many more Black characters to choose from. I mean, one of my greatest dreams for all of us is that fandoms develop around these Black girls, around these Black characters, in the way that we've seen fandom develop around all of these white characters and white properties. I went to San Diego Comic-Con years ago for the first time. I think it was 7 years ago. And I thought, why isn't there any big sort of tentpole property created by Black creators that have people going wild wearing costumes and cosplaying? And I'm still asking that question. Why don't I see that for our books? Is it that people can't see themselves as us? And so if they can't engage. And so I just want everyone to be able to experience that. I want that to be the next big thing for us.
Yeah, I want a fandom.
Exactly.
Cosplays.
I want to cosplay as mermaids. You know what I mean? Like, I want us to have that experience in the way that other white content creators get all the time. All of the big YA franchises, the cosplaying, it's that, and we don't get to have that.
I think we're gonna have to just dress up as each other's. Like, I quite fancy loads of gold on my face, Namina.
Yes.
Like, and yeah, some kind of weapon. Again, murdery. I'm feeling that.
Isabel.
Yeah. The good news about Cottrell is you just have to wear like a black hoodie and be like kind of gross.
And carrying a mean looking dog. I got a mean looking dog right here.
That dog is sweet. How dare you slander?
Magnificent. Like she is very intimidating. Go back to
okay.
Like her name is Thugnificent. She's very intimidating. Y'all saw that.
Thug.
When I dress up as Cottrell, I'm carrying Thugnificent.
Exactly.
We're doing things.
I'm gonna get a mermaid tail. I can't swim well, so I'm not gonna do it. I'm just gonna be on the side.
You just get like a portable tank where you just lay in it and then you just
Exactly.
build around. Yeah.
So I'll bring it to the UK. I'll bring the tail with me to the UK. We'll do some shots as soon as, you know what I mean? We'll do a photo shoot.
And dress the bells. I need someone to like tailor me and suck me in a bit, like one of those.
We'll do the makeup. We'll get you all the things.
Yes.
That's what we have to do, though. We should we'll create our own fandoms. We'll celebrate each other's characters.
Let's be ready for this UK trip. Mermaids, go.
Look, you think I'm playing games? Wait, you about to get?
You think I'm playing games? I'm not playing games.
I'm getting a castle.
We're gonna find a rooftop pool somewhere. I'll have tails for everyone. That's it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
And cocktails.
Tails and cocktails.
Look at that. That's the name of the event. Tails and cocktails. Done. My God, I should get paid for this.
You should. Oh my gosh. We gotta get the vaccine stuff together so I can get over there. I'm ready.
But last question, everybody, what are we reading right now?
Ooh.
My goodness.
I just finished the other Black Girl, which was amazing.
Okay.
And I read that in a day.
Ooh, yeah.
I want you to read that.
Yeah, it was so good. I can't really talk about it because I'll ruin it for you, but yeah, it was amazing.
I haven't started, but I just got my copy in the mail. I finished Ace of Spades.
Ooh, I'm about to read that today. I'm so excited.
Good. I was sweating. I was like, ooh, this is so good. I'm trying to think of fantasy.
I want to read Witches Steeped in Gold.
You need to get on it, and then you will fight Shannon. You will fight her because of what she did in that book.
Listen, man, like I need to finish this rewrite, and we are going to be like, I feel like once I'm done with this, I'm going to be laid out like with covered in books, just reading, be like, done. Give me another book. Done.
Yeah,
Give me another
that's
book. It's
great.
gonna be great.
Oh, I just started Beasts of Prey by Ayana Gray, who's so
Oh,
sweet.
yeah.
Oh,
And
so excited for that one.
me too. I'm very stressed. I'm like, okay, we are going into the jungle and I don't do this kind of outdoorsy things. Magical jungle, I'm scared, I'm shook. So I'm enjoying it so far. So
I'm very excited about that one as well.
yeah.
Yeah.
I just want all the books.
Same.
Well, all right then. Thank you so much, San Diego Comic-Con, for having us, and thank you to all these fantastic authors for joining us. Have a great day. Bye.
Bye guys. Thank you.
Bye.